All you, sir.
Great, thanks, Chuck. Appreciate you setting that up. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. I also am hoping that the rain will eventually stop, or at least slow enough that I can finish building my ark. But I'm ching. Today, we want to talk about a couple topics. There's two main themes. The first is why are companies transitioning to the cloud for their voice, and what are the drivers for that? The second thing we're going to do is we're going to introduce RingCentral. All of you who know me and are attending know that I represent multiple cloud voice solutions, and I work with many of them and a lot of great companies out there. In my opinion, RingCentral has one of the largest, broadest portfolio of features that they bring to the table, and they bring them in well. They just don't have a feature. They check a box. They're actually functional. So I've asked Chuck to present an overview of what RingCentral can do at a high-level introductory approach for anybody who might be considering a cloud solution or changing a cloud their cloud provider. Why would they choose RingCentral? One of the things we're going to ask from a housekeeping perspective is that if you have any questions, there's a chat box. If you can use the chat box to ask any questions along the way, or answer all that we can to start with, and then we will, once we can't answer, we will follow up with you afterwards directly. All right. So first of all, who am I? If you don't know me, I've been doing telecommunications for 20 years, and over those 20 years, I've seen a lot of changes, but most of them were behind the scenes. Most of them were not very impactful to the end user. It was just a different way for the technology to be delivered. The end user still picked up their phone, dialed the phone, received calls, answered calls, that kind of stuff. But maybe the transport changed, it went on a different wire. Maybe their circuits changed, went out a different wire, but nothing really impactful to the user. It maybe saved the business's money, maybe help the administration of the system, but it wasn't that life changing. But what I'm seeing now with the cloud and the drivers going to the cloud is that there are now impactful features that are driving people to the cloud. The first and foremost is the inherent redundancy that is built into a cloud solution. To duplicate that with a premise system would be very difficult. With a premise, you're tied to that building, you're tied to the power in that building. With the cloud, most of the cloud solutions today have some type of mobile app, some type of redirect feature that allows you to catch calls on your cell phone or whatever wirelessly. So if you have an outage, someone's cut your fiber, there's ways you can basically not miss a beat, or at least take care of major calls. So to duplicate that in a premise system would be very, very costly. And with the cloud solutions, there's a lot of redundancy in their data centers, so they have failovers between data centers, and that keeps them up. So when they do upgrades and things like that, it's very easy for a client. It's probably even noticeable because they will move you from one data center to another. Or if a premise upgrade happens, it has to be scheduled. You have to plan for an outage, generally speaking, and it's very dependent upon the hardware that you have. The last thing that's kind of driving the bus, and this is some information from Gartner, who, if you're not familiar, they're an independent group that surveys all types of technology, and for unified communications as a service. That's if you ever see the acronym UCaaS, UCAAS, that's Unified Communications as a Service. It's basically cloud voice, and they're showing that by 2021, which is coming around soon, 90% of IT leaders will be going to the cloud, up from 50% today. So that's going to be where all the research and development's going. So even the remaining premise providers that are out there, and that's a shrinking number, they're all rushing to find a way to get to the cloud. And so their R&D dollars are all kind of focused on how to position there. They have a large base of premise systems, but they're trying to juggle how to transition those folks to the cloud as well. No one wants to roll a truck anymore. Even people with premise systems, they don't want to send a tech to site if they can avoid it. I even had a client this past week reach out to me because he has XO for their PRI service in one of their cities, and he got a notice from XO saying that they're not going to support digital trunking any longer. It's all going to be going to IP, so he has to make a plan for how he's going to transition away from that, either with his premise system or with the cloud solution. So those are all the drivers from the industry side of things that are pushing people to the cloud. And as I mentioned, I'm getting set up for Chuck to kind of go through to the RingCentral solution. Some things to kind of note about RingCentral. They're the leader in market share, and when I discovered them at any depth was about fall of 2017. They are at about $60 a share at the time, and it was an all-time high. And I thought, well, I'm not going to go any higher. Well, they're about $119 a share today. So my prognostication skills as it relates to stocks is not good, but they are outpacing everybody on that front. And I think the reasons for that are the breadth of their solution as well as their ability to deliver on that solution. So Chuck, go ahead and please jump in and take the keys.
Thank you, David. Definitely appreciate everyone attending. So first, kind of another housekeeping thing. At the end of the presentations, when David and I get done talking, we will be giving away 3 $100 Visa gift cards. So kind of take notes. Certainly not saying you have to make detailed notes. I promise that the 3 questions that we came up with are not difficult. So if you're listening even 50%, you will definitely get the answers to them. So make sure that you are paying attention so that we can give away some money at the end. And the way that we're going to do the questions is we'll ask the question, and then the first person to respond in the chat window will be the one that's awarded it. You can only win one. I know there's, I would want to win all 3 myself, but you can only win one. So here we go. So why RingCentral? So when I came to RingCentral, I came for a number of different reasons. I owned my own business before, and when they came to me and told me kind of what the platform looked like and what the program looked like, it absolutely tickled my interest, and it's a fantastic place to be. So if you look at this quadrant of boxes here, we have 450,000 business customers. That ranges from 1 seat up to, I think our largest one's like 30,000 seats at this point. So a wide variety. Most people don't even talk about the number of customers that they have, but we put that number out there. We also have a 99+% retention rate. So average customer that comes in and starts doing business with us, just the average customer stays over 100 months on the platform. So once they come in, they see the value and they absolutely stay with us. We have 3,600 employees. 67% of them are customer facing. So what does that mean to you? It means that we have the people in place to be able to service our customers. And there's some stats that we'll share as we go through this further, but hold for that. 14 years of innovation. So we are not a BroadSoft platform, which allows us to be a lot more nimble and a lot more customizable to our partners and to our customers, so that if you come to us with some crazy idea, absolutely bring it to us, because there are ways that we can do some things. We have a lot of contact center offerings also that we'll talk about here in a little bit, but but absolutely don't be shy of bringing that idea that you think's way over the fence, because it may be able to happen. We spent just last year $100 million just in the platform. What does that mean? We do a quarterly update. We also, we push out those updates to every single customer. So you're always driving the latest and greatest platform that we have to offer. It's not a 12 months from now, you get a great little broadcast from your provider saying, oh, we need another $50,000 to do an upgrade for you. We just push them out. I mean, it's just part of the cloud and part of RingCentral. David already talked about the stock. Absolutely take some time to check that out. Huge investment possibility there for you. We are a global company. Absolutely, if you have any international sites, let us know. We're happy to help with that. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit in the future here. David already talked about the Gartner Magic Quadrant. We've won it 4 years in a row, and we are a CLEC. So we provide service to over 4 billion minutes of telephone calls per year.
Hey Chuck.
Yes, sir.
Slide one second. Yeah, a lot of great stats there. Can you maybe put that in a little bit of perspective? Can you kind of talk to a little bit of the market share, what's going on that front?
For sure. So if you look at the old on-prem carriers, their market share is declining about 12% quarter over quarter, and this is over about the last 2 years. There's kind of see that erode. If you look at from a cloud perspective, all the carriers in general, they are increasing quarter over quarter about 26 to 28%. RingCentral is increasing. Actually, our last quarter over quarter was 34%. And keep in mind that we are the largest carrier in the world, and we're increasing the most. So just from a math perspective, it's a pretty interesting and compelling story that you tell, that if the biggest guy is growing the fastest, it says something about the product. So the slide that you're looking at here is the Gartner Magic Quadrant. We always just show it. Obviously, the goal is to be the furthest up and to the right that you can possibly be. We are obviously the leader. It is very telling to look at this report year over year and see kind of how far that we kind of keep distancing ourselves a little bit further from everybody else. It's a cool read. If anybody is looking at any UCaaS solution, pick up the report and just check it out. It is definitely worth the time you'll spend to kind of go through it. So from a customer satisfaction perspective, we are definitely set the mark very high. So if you look at the industry as a whole, the rating's about 8.5. The top 15%, so the 8x8, the Cisco's of the world, are in that 9.2 range. But RingCentral is also leading in that. And that really talks to what we mentioned before, in that we have a 99.6% retention rate. So once people come to our platform and enjoy the solution, they absolutely stay with us. So global, we talked about global a little bit. We have offices in Europe. We also have them in Australia. Obviously, tons of offices here in the States, a couple in Canada. So we are a true global company. There's a lot of places that we can get to that a lot of people can't. So absolutely, if you have a global interest, or you're thinking about expanding globally, or what have you, absolutely bring that to David's attention so that he can get one of our subject matter experts involved alongside with him and kind of go through that from a reliability, a solution that is able to translate and easy to manage from a central location, and obviously a cost savings when you talk about international. This is the coolest thing about RingCentral, in my opinion. You see this thing that's scrolling on the side here. It shows all of the integrations that we have. So if you're using Box, or if you're using Teams, or if you're using Twitter, anything that you have really has the ability to integrate into RingCentral. There's 140 out-of-the-box integrations that are out there. There are over 1,000 that we don't even know about because these little small companies go ahead and use our open API to go ahead and write their own code so that they can integrate with RingCentral. So if you have a CRM, or if you have any kind of platform that you or app that you're looking to use and integrate with RingCentral, obviously reach out to David. He's your first resource. The other thing is reach out to that application vendor and ask them, because it may be something that they have that they've developed for some other customer that they really just don't advertise because it was just for that one customer. We find that a ton of times. But absolutely check that out from David's perspective and from the application vendor's perspective. So now we kind of get into the contact center space, and what this wildly crazy graphic is showing you. It's not as complicated as it looks, I promise. It's driving the customer engagement and the employee engagement to the same point. So what that means? It means that on the employee side, it's one platform, no matter if you have UCaaS and CCaaS, or if you have both of them together, you're going to one place to drive that communications with your customer. So that customer engagement and the customer enlightenment is so much higher, and the experience is so much better from both the employee side, because they only have one thing to manage, right? And from the customer side. On the customer side, kind of as we grow and with some things that we've purchased, we are now able to, through one of our platforms, kind of allow the customer to communicate with whoever's using the platform the way that they want. So what does that mean? That means that if a customer wants to do chat with us, if they want to send us a tweet, if they want to send us Instagram, I mean, however they want to, and I'm an old guy, so I don't know all the other ones, but however they want to communicate with us, that's how we want to communicate with them. Because obviously the millennials get up into the management and to the upper echelons of companies and how they're communicating with their vendors. It's all about text, and it's all about those other features except picking up a phone call. If you ask one of my children to pick up a phone call and call someone, you might as well hit them in the head. It would be so much simpler.
Chuck, can I throw in a couple tidbits while we're talking about texting and such? I just got a report yesterday that was built from a couple of different resources, some Gartner, some the SBA, some Harris, and some other vendors. But there's 150 million texts that are sent to non-text enabled business landlines every day. And I experienced that myself when I first got texting turned on my system. I had a text come to me that was someone who got my name from somebody else, got referred to, and they just assumed that my main business number was a textable number, and they reached out to me via text. And it was that day, luckily, but a week ago it wasn't, or a week before it wasn't. So had I not gotten that enabled, I would have missed that text. They would have thought I was unresponsive and wouldn't necessarily have known that I didn't have that. So millennials want to text more than anything. The stat is 77% of consumers think highly of companies that do text, and 9 out of 10 consumers prefer a business that text versus calling. And a different stat that I thought was pretty interesting is 96% of texts are read within 3 minutes of delivery. So if you want to reach somebody, texting is the way to go.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, absolutely. Okay. Cool, I appreciate that, David. So what this slide is really showing is that within our platform, you really don't choose a lot of different platforms. You choose how to communicate with the person before you choose the person, which is kind of backwards to me. In our platform, no matter if you are calling them, video chatting them, whatever, you go to the person's name in our GLIP collaborative platform, and then you can simply do all the different ways of communicating through them. The other thing that's shown is down in the corner and up in the top right-hand corner is that we are a mobile-first company. So when our CEO interviewed for one of our SVPs for the position, he asked, what would you want to be able to do, or what's the next generation of platform look like to you? And his answer was simply this. He grabbed his iPhone 6 out of his pocket and he said, I want to be able to do everything on this that I can on my desktop. And that's where we are. Literally, I use my iPhone all the time. I hardly ever am on a computer-generated call, and I never ever use a desk phone. It's always a soft phone or a mobile phone. So everything is mobile first and driven up through everything else. The experience is also the same between the multiple different looks, whether it be soft phone or mobile client. The user experience is very, very similar. So from a training perspective, a usability perspective, it is very easy to kind of comprehend and get your arms around. So what this is talking about is, why do companies go with a UCaaS vendor and a CCaaS vendor, and why does it make sense to put those two together? It's simply this. There's a lot of stuff going on in the slide, I know, but it basically only says this, is that it is one throat to choke from a vendor perspective for that company, and from a customer perspective, it's easier to do business with them because it's all integrated in the same thing. And from an employee perspective, is the biggest gain because they are managing one single portal that they're going into. They don't have 5 different screens going on where they have to toggle between things, and it just makes it more cumbersome if they're separated. So that's really all that this slide is saying. Just another way of representing it, it shows our GLIP product down in the bottom left-hand corner, which is our collaboration tool on the regular UCaaS piece. And then it shows all the analytics and all the neat stuff that you get into on the contact center space in the bottom right-hand corner, just to kind of give you a little screenshot of it. So here's kind of where we are, and we talked about this a little bit when I started, in that millennials are driving this change, in that they want to be able to communicate with the vendor of their choice, or with the person that they've done business with, how they want to, whether it's through an app, whether it's through social media, email, whatever. And through our Engage platform, it actually starts to learn through bot technology. It starts to learn and figure out that, oh, okay, so Chuck was on this live chat 20 minutes ago at this email address. And now somebody that looks a lot like Chuck is sending us a tweet, and it's about the same thing. So it's smart enough to kind of pull those things in together. And the best thing, as far as I'm concerned, and the easiest story to tell everybody, is everybody has gone into a company website and clicked the magic chat button, and you started a chat, and either your internet has dropped, or you got called away on something else, or you had to go get the mail, I mean, whatever. And it's broken that chain. With Engage, it allows you to pick up where you left off, so you don't have to start all over again like you do on normal chat windows. Okay. Cool. So David,
Yes,
tell
sir.
me, I have a couple questions for David, and then we will get to the gift card giveaway. So David, why are customers choosing cloud solutions versus on-prem? I mean, what are you seeing in the market? Because I know I sit in the quote-unquote ivory tower, so I don't really interface with customers that often, but you are absolutely a trusted advisor for every single one of your customers that I have met. And kind of tell me why they chose to go to cloud in general first.
So, what's been interesting to me over the last couple of years is that when I go out to a client, the first thing is like there's probably in 80% of those conversations, it's just where they want to go. They don't even want to talk about prem. But there is a handful, 20, 30% that are not ready to leave the prem world, or they think they're not. So they'll want to look at maybe 2 or 3 cloud providers, 2 or 3 premise providers, and as we go through that process, we start checking boxes of what they want from a feature standpoint, and either it's not available on the prem or it's costly on the prem. So that's one thing. And then when when the demos are shown, generally speaking, the days of, and I've done phone demos my entire career, 15, 18 years of phone demos. And it, when you try to show someone who's focused on the current feature sets, how the phone system on a premise works, it's very kludgy, as you have engineers trying to decide what server goes with that feature set and how they would have to build that out and where they would plug that in at. It gets to be a kind of a kludgy thing. So they end up, in almost all situations, they end up choosing the cloud because of the cleanness of the solution. Unless they are someone who only wants the phone to ring and hang up and that's it, they end up choosing the cloud for that reason.
Cool. I appreciate that. And then give me like the 2 magic bullet points that if somebody's looking at multiple providers and RingCentral is kind of one of those, but they haven't really decided yet, what are those 2 magic bullets that you throw out there and say, hey, this is why you need to go with RingCentral?
Well, I think it's the completeness of the solution. Like I said, one of the things I said in the invitations to the people that were joining today was there's lots of people can do some of the slip pieces, but to have the SMS texting, the MMS, which is surprisingly still very difficult for many cloud providers, picture messaging, business case for that. Let's say an insurance company, someone has an accident. These people, they could email the pictures, but people want to text. So the agents need to give out their personal cell phone, or used to have to give out their personal cell phone, which they don't want to do because they don't want calls on Saturday night, when it should be going to work. So the picture messaging is a big deal. And then I think the combination, the way I've seen the RingCentral technology, the collaboration tools, the GLIP, everything kind of ties together seamlessly versus, this pod here for that feature, this pod here for that feature, and so forth. So those are the two main things that I see. And then lastly, I'll echo some of your comment about customer retention. Everyone who I've helped get to the RingCentral side, they remained happy with the solution, and then are pretty complimentary of the product.
Cool. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And now we get to give away money, which is, the best part of the conference call. So I'm going to ask 3 questions. And remember, the first one to respond with the correct answer in the chat window will be the winner. And yes, you can only win one. So the first question is this. We'll start with an easy one. What is David currently building?
Had to be on early to hear that.
Exactly, right? I think you stumped him. I'll ask the question differently because I think this will lead them down the garden path. What is David building currently, because it's been raining in Ohio for the last 400 days? I think.
Seems like that.
It just seems like that. Yeah. Yeah. No, but I don't think anybody's. Here we go. Pat is right. An arc. Pat is a winner. Congratulations. Okay. Second one's a little bit harder. What is one reason that companies are moving to the cloud from away from on-prem? Any reason? Freedom. That's a good. I'll give you that. I think I'll give Cedric that one.
Yeah.
What do you think, David? Freedom.
I kind of
good.
Mel Gibson yelling "freedom" as I saw that. Yeah.
Cool. So Cedric, you are a winner. Awesome. Okay. The last question is, I screwed up and I did not mention what my favorite baseball team is, which is the last question. So the first one to answer who the professional baseball team that is on a current 4-game win streak, and they're going to Milwaukee tonight to play the hated Brewers and hopefully sweep them as well. They're based in Cincinnati, Ohio. What is the professional baseball team's name? There we go. Pete is the winner. Cool. Well, thank you guys. We appreciate it. I'm going to skip to this last slide real quick here. Obviously, David will be following up with everyone who attended the call. We appreciate everyone's time for letting us speak. David, appreciate you inviting people, and obviously appreciate you presenting the Voip spin. And guys, I'm not saying this because David's on the phone. You guys don't know me well enough. David knows me that I would not say this if it wasn't true. David is one of my top 5 partners for all of Ohio and Kentucky, and from a trusted advisor and someone who will go to bat for you and absolutely deliver a solution that you want. David's your guy. Absolutely reach out to him. All his contact information is on there, but like I said, he'll be reaching out to you to follow up from the webinar as well. So everybody, thanks for your time. David, did you have any closing remarks?
Just thanks for all who attended, and congratulations to the winners. And hopefully you guys got some positive things out of this. Any side questions, reach out to me. We can expand upon any of the topics. We will be doing additional ones with more of a contact center focus at some point. So stay tuned to that.
Perfect. All right, thanks guys. We'll go ahead and end the call, and we appreciate everyone's time.